Welcome to another episode of the Assemble Performance Podcast. Today we're going to continue the series on how I start working with a client through the intake and the first few weeks, with today's episode on what I'm looking for when I start with a new client. So quickly today we're going to go over what I'm looking for in a new client, and then I'm going to introduce the next episode in the series, in this mini-series. So if you haven't listened to the last episode, you can either listen to this one and then go back and listen to that one, or go back, listen to that one, come back here, and then obviously wait for the next few episodes. I've got 2 more planned in this series, so stay tuned if you are interested in coaching, or if you're another coach and you're just interested in kind of how I do things. So with that said, in this episode, we're going to go over what exactly I'm looking for when I bring on a new client. Now, not every client's going to be right for me, and I'm not going to be right for every client. That might be new news for some of you who may have spoken with other coaches or know other coaches who are willing to just take on anybody. I don't believe in that. I don't think that I'm a good fit for every single client, just like I don't think every single client is a good fit for me. So I'm not just going to work with anybody just to take their money. I don't do this to take people's money. I do this because I really, really care about getting people good results. And so I take this part of the process very seriously. I was going to say I'm very selective. I would say I'm not very selective. You don't have to meet too many criteria to work with me, but I do just want to make sure that I am working with the right people who are going to work well with me, and we're going to be able to get them good results, because the last thing that I want to do is not get somebody results, and that really starts with making sure that we are a good fit. This is also why I have my money back guarantee. It's a guarantee after the first 3 months. If you're not happy with your progress for any reason and you've done the training, I have some numbers on there of doing the training and continuing to communicate with me, so not ghosting me. I'm totally happy to give you your money back, because I want to make sure you're happy and that you are getting the results that you want. And I've never ever had to use it. I am so certain that if you do the training and you check in with me, we're going to be able to adapt things to your schedule and make things fit. And I've always been able to get people results that way. This basically just protects me from people ghosting me, paying, and then not doing the training, not talking to me, and then requesting their money back, saying they didn't get what they wanted. Go figure, right? If you don't do the training, you don't get the results. But with that said, I really haven't had anybody ghost me outside of a few clients when I first started and was still learning how to really deduce if somebody was going to be a good fit or not. Ever since I've really fleshed that out, I haven't had that problem. So that is what it is. So these are just a few things. I've got 8 things here that I've written out. 8 things I'm looking for when I onboard a client, when I'm talking to them in the DMs, when I'm talking to them on the consult call, that I'm looking for. So if you're interested in coaching and you do meet these 8 things, then definitely reach out. If you don't meet all of them, you just meet some of them, then you can still reach out. You don't have to hit 100% of these, and some of them are kind of in flux as we get started, and you'll understand that when I get into it. So that first thing I'm really looking for is, are you clear about where you want to go? So I can't help you get somewhere if I don't know where you want to go first, and I can't make that up for you. I can't tell you where you should go. You have to know what you want to do, what goal you have. And if you just have kind of an open-ended goal, you want to get fitter, then are you open to exploring where you want to go as we get started? And are you open to reflecting on that and getting some more concrete ideas down? Because I want to be fitter is a pretty broad term, pretty broad phrase, and it can encompass a lot of things. And I am not here to tell you what you should do with your life. You should know what you want to do. And if you don't, that's fine. But I definitely want to make sure you are open to doing some self-reflection in the first few weeks and getting some concrete goals down, even if they're pretty simple. That way we have something to work towards, because if I don't know what you want, I cannot program for you effectively. I cannot help you make the behavior change process. I can't help you with your nutrition effectively because I don't know where we're going. So first and foremost, pretty simple, but do you know where you want to go? Secondly, once we've determined your goal, then is that goal something I can help with? I pride myself on being really good at what I do, but I'm not good at everything. I cannot be good at everything. What is the saying? Whatever. So somebody who can do everything is a master of none. It's I honestly can't remember the saying. You guys are probably saying it right in your heads. I can't remember the saying, but basically, a master of all is a master of none. That's not the saying, but basically, if I tried to do everything, I would be bad at pretty much everything I do. So I'm really good at what I do, and I stay in my lane. A few things that I don't help with and that I typically refer out for, unless the person already has another coach in mind: physique sports, so bodybuilding. I definitely help people with aesthetic goals. I definitely help people lose body fat and enjoy how they look alongside performance goals. But bodybuilding is an entirely different level of aesthetic sport, of aesthetic training. And I don't do that myself. That doesn't appeal to me personally. And so I'm not going to work with somebody on that goal because I've never done it and I don't know what it feels like. I understand programming wise what you do, and I can understand the training and nutrition side of things. But as far as the actual coaching portion, I've never done it. I'm not going to coach somebody through that process. Next one would be eating disorders. This is way out of my lane. I do not help with eating disorders, and I do refer out to a few awesome nutritionists and dietitians on that. So if you do have an eating disorder, I'm not your coach, but you can still reach out to me. I'd be happy to refer you out to somebody who would be able to help you. Number third, I kind of touched on this already, an aesthetic first goal without a performance goal. So it might not be bodybuilding, but say you want to look shredded and you don't really care how strong you are or how fast you are. You just want to look shredded. That's not really my wheelhouse. I could help you, but I like to stay within my zone of genius, and that is not my zone of genius. So I will refer you out to somebody else. Totally fine. There are other people that specialize in that, and you should work with somebody who that is their zone of genius. The fourth one is going to be any medical diagnosis as the primary provider. I say that because I'm not a doctor, so I am totally open to working with somebody in conjunction with a provider to help them reach their fitness goals with a medical diagnosis. But I am not the sole provider for a medical diagnosis. There are other coaches that do that for certain things like hormone disorders and hormone issues and things like that. That's not me. I'll either refer you to another coach or recommend that you go see a doctor first or a whatever specialist with whatever you're dealing with, and then come back and have a conversation with me, and we can figure out where does coaching and where does training for your goals fit within that health plan. And then lastly, I kind of said this already, but hormone dysregulation is the primary goal. There's a lot of coaches out there, a lot of good ones. So I don't deal with that. That's just not my wheelhouse. I have worked with some clients before who had hormone problems that came up throughout the training. So we put in all the work, they were doing everything, but they still felt horrible. They still weren't really getting the results, even though they were controlling all the inputs they could. They were doing everything right. And after 4 to 6 weeks with these people, it's happened to me twice. And the first person I noticed a little bit earlier on. The second person, it took a little bit because they also had some other things going on that we had to work through. But I recommended to them that they go to a provider and they get their levels checked because we were doing everything right. And lo and behold, they did. And they found out that they had a problem and they got that taken care of. And I was just glad that I was able to help them catch that instead of beating themselves up. So if you do have a hormone issue, I'm not your coach, but if that's your primary goal, but I definitely 100% have helped people figure out what's going on there when it comes up, because a lot of the time you don't know. All right, so the third thing that I'm really looking for is we've established that they're clear about their goal and their goal is something I can help with. So thirdly, is their problem or blocker or whatever is keeping them from reaching that goal something that I can help with, and that's within my scope of practice. So if you want to run a marathon, you want to get stronger, I can help you with that. But can I help you with what's blocking what's in your way? I can help with a lot of things, but there are a few things that I don't, again, help with. And so rather than lay out what I do help with, I'll lay out what I don't. I don't help with mental health crises. So again, I can be in a supporting role here with a therapist, psychiatrist, something like that, but I am obviously not a therapist or a psychiatrist. Training and nutrition and goals are a very important part of recovery from those things. I've suffered with some things in my life, as most of us have, and they're very important supporting roles, but it's definitely not the only tool. Definitely shouldn't be the main tool for too long. So I do not work with somebody mainly for that, but I do work with a lot of people who are going through things, as everybody does. I have a lot of empathy for that. And again, I've experienced some things myself. So with the help of a provider that, say a therapist, a psychiatrist, somebody who is a specialist in that role, training for goals can be huge, can be super helpful, and a very, very strong arm to a mental health treatment process. Secondly, major injuries. If you have a major injury, I'm going to refer you out to a really good physical therapist that I know. Yeah, I have a whole network of them. Or if you can find one in your area, that's good. But I am not a physical therapist. I do, again, network with a lot of them, and I do work with a lot of people dealing with minor injuries and recovering from things and on the back end of a recovery from a major injury. But if you're in the throes, in the depths of a major injury, I am not your guy. You should work with a professional physical therapist and get to a point where then I can take on that role and bring you through the next steps to your goals. And then thirdly, medical problems, just kind of whatever medical problems may be. Again, I am not a doctor, so I can't help with that. But outside of those things, I can help with pretty much everything else. So do you know where you're going? Do you have a goal I can help with? Do you have a blocker I can help with? Pretty simple things. And now we get more into kind of the behavior change and the other things that I'm looking for. Again, you don't have to hit all of these, but being mostly here is going to be a good sign that we'll be a good fit together. But again, some of these things are things that we can work on as we get started. So first, are you ready and open to changing how you do things in order to reach your goals? To get something different, you have to do something different. This is a saying that's thrown around a lot, but it's true. If you want to go somewhere you're not, you need to do something that you haven't done before. And a lot of people can be very stuck in their ways, which is fine, but that's not going to get you the results you're looking for. And part of coaching, a lot of coaching, is changing the way you're doing things. So you need to be open to changing certain things about the way you train, the way you eat, your habits to get you to those goals. Coaching is going to work the best when we can work collaboratively on what's going to work for you, what's not working, give constructive feedback, and really work together to find the best solution. Because everyone's going to have a different best solution for them. It's not cookie cutter. It's not, here, take this template and you'll be fine. It's, how do we train that's going to work the best for you? How do we implement any behavior change strategies, nutrition strategies, mindset strategies? Lots of things go into it. And you just need to be open to receiving constructive feedback and working with me on finding what's going to work the best for you. For some people, we find that really quickly. For others, it takes a little bit longer. And then even for those hormone folks that I spoke about previously, we got to a point where nothing was working. And then I literally just told them, we've done everything we can here. We're doing everything right. There is something else going on here. So throughout that process, though, we were iteratively working together on feedback and on refining things. And outside of those two cases, I've never not been able to find a process that's going to work well for somebody. So you got to be open to that. Number 5, this is very individual to me. This is not everybody. There are more coaches that I'm seeing nowadays that believe in this, but this is definitely not every coach. Are you open to a coaching relationship? Are you looking for a coaching relationship? Or are you just looking for training and nutrition? I've said this before and I put it out a lot in my content, but relationships are everything in one-to-one coaching, in my opinion. If you get rid of the relationship, you basically just have a training and nutrition plan, and you might as well just buy a free quick one online, right? Or pay one of the people that will customize training plans for you. But coaching, real coaching, not just training, is all about the relationship. The quality of service that I want to provide, the quality of results that I want to provide, and the changes that I want you to see in your goals and just feel throughout the rest of your life are so dependent on that relationship, because I have to understand you, what makes you tick, what gets you excited about your goals, why you want to do them, what stressors you have, what maybe competing values you have in your life, because everybody as complex adults may have competing values like me. I love working. I also love being with my family, competing values. So I need to understand all these things about you. That way I can give you the best service possible, not just the best training, not just the best nutrition, but truly the best coaching, the best feedback, the best check-ins to get you to where you want to go. So you have to be, if you want to work with me, you have to be looking for that coaching relationship, not just that kind of distant hands-off, here's a training plan. Oh yeah, let's move a few things around. There you go. Boom. That's not what I'm looking for. Again, it's not super in-depth. It's not like a relationship where you're going on dates and things like that. That would be crazy, and I hope nobody thought that. But it's like any friendship. It's a coaching relationship, not a friendship. But We take time to talk, and honestly, my clients do feel like my friends at times. I learn a lot about their lives through check-ins and what's impacting their training, what's impacting their mindset and the way that their life is going, what might impact their ability to recover from a stress perspective. Lots of really positive things come from treating coaching like a relationship, and I just couldn't provide the service that I want without that. Building on that, are you willing to share other parts of your life, like life stressors, things like that, so that I can best support you? So, as I kind of just touched on, the rest of your life impacts your training in a very profound way. And I need to have that level of insight in order to understand you as a holistic human, what's going on in the rest of your life that's going to impact your training. I don't want to harp on this too much because I just spent a lot of time on it at the last point. But long story short, you need to be open to a coaching relationship and at least be open to exploring, sharing more than just, yeah, my training session went well and that's it. I want to know how work is going, how family's going, how sleep is, how any other hobbies are going. They're all important to me and they help me provide the service that I want. 7, this one is a pretty big one for me. And if you're listening to this podcast, you already have a leg up on this. It's, do you know me and are you on board with how I do things? I want to work with people that are bought into me and the service that I provide in the way that I want to do things. Someone who just found me isn't going to know enough about me to be bought into the way that I do things. Bought into my methods, my overall vision for training, for coaching relationships, things like that, and for how my services run. So if you're here, maybe this is your first episode, you're learning about me, totally great place to be. Any of you listening to this probably aren't going to fall into this, but if you are new to me, if somebody comes to a consult call, they maybe just found me a few days before, I'm really just going to pay attention to, does the conversation make me feel like they're on the same page as me in regards to how I see training, how I see the coaching relationship, what we're looking to get out of here when it comes to this coaching relationship. If I feel that way, then we'll continue to move forward. I've worked with people who have only known about me for a few days before booking, but I really go in depth on that call to really understand a lot about them. Versus if I've spoken with somebody in the DMs for months, that call is a lot more of the other stuff because I already know that they're probably pretty bought into the way that I do things. And the last thing I'm really looking for is, do you understand that growth means having to make uncomfortable change? So as we kind of said before, in order to get something different, you have to do something different. We all understand that training is hard, right? When you start with a coach, you understand that training is going to be difficult. But some of these growth points are not training. They're internal, they're emotional, they're mental, and those can be really hard in unexpected ways. So are you willing or open to putting in the effort outside of just training to be uncomfortable, put yourself in situations that may be uncomfortable to you? Like if you want to run a trail race, are you open to going out to trails and running if you only ever run on the treadmill? Things like this that are very emotional and mental on top of training and physical. It's just something, if this is your first goal, like say your first marathon or your first 10K or your first powerlifting meet, there's a lot of emotional things that you might not think about when it comes to training for these goals. And I just want to make sure that you're open to those new experiences and building those new neural pathways, those new brain connections, getting uncomfortable, learning new emotional patterns, and really pushing yourself. That way, I don't just help you get physically prepared for the goal, I also help you mentally, emotionally embody the type of person it's going to take for you to reach that goal. So with that said, if you are mostly on all those 8 things, or if you are on all those 8 things, then we're going to probably be pretty well aligned, and I'm really confident that we would be a good fit. It's not too difficult to meet those things, honestly, but some people are adamantly against a lot of those, if not all of them, and obviously I'm not going to start coaching with that person because, yeah, I might take their money and we start coaching. They're not going to get a good result. I'm not going to feel good about it. I'm probably going to refund them their money after the first 2-3 months because they're probably not going to get results and we're just not going to be a good fit. And I'm not here to work with people who aren't my people. So if you resonate with a lot of those things, then you definitely are my people. I I work really hard, and I'm still working really hard to attract more of my people and really build a solid community of people that believe in these things. So if you didn't listen to the last episode, definitely go back and listen to that. I went over my entire onboarding process. I kind of put these out of order. I guess I probably should have recorded this one first, but whatever. After it's out, they'll both be up. So if you haven't listened to that, go listen to that one. Otherwise, stay tuned, subscribe, turn on the notifications so that you get notifications for next episode, because next episode is going to be what I'm looking for in the first few weeks of coaching and some of those milestones that we're looking to hit those first few weeks that tell me that a client is going to do really well and get really good results. And then after that, I'm going to do an episode on what I'm looking for in those first few weeks as far as red flags go. That way we can get ahead of any issues before they might manifest later in training. So next episode, though, is going to be on the green flags, good things I'm looking for in those first few weeks. So if you're on the fence about coaching and you're not sure if it's going to work for you or not, this episode really resonated with you, the last one really resonated with you, you've got a few options. You can either book a call with me through the link in the description to learn more. We can get on one of those consult calls that I talked about in the last episode and really just go over everything, see if we'd be a good fit, and I can share with you the ways that I would be able to help you. Again, this is a very pressure-free consult call. I'm not going to pressure you into anything. I think it should be pretty apparent now that I'm not about pushing somebody to work with me. I'm not about working with someone if they're not my people. So pushing people to work with me is not the way that I do things. Or if you need a little bit more time, again, just make sure you're subscribed and you have notifications turned on. That way, when next week's episode comes out, you can get notified and you can get more clarity on what the process looks like those first few weeks and if this is going to be something that's for you or not. With that said, it was great to record another episode, and I will see you in the next episode of the Assemble Performance Podcast.